it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I am super excited to be back playing with the Stretch the Sketch series. And so this is where we take a single page sketch and stretch it out. So we either stretch it into a double page layout or we stretch it like downsized into a traveler's notebook spread. And that is what I'm going to do today. And so I am pulling from my How to Kill a Kit with Style for the month of February. And so if you watched that kit reveal video, it is where I went into Tuesday morning and built a kit off of only what was on the shelf. So I have this paper pad, and this is where my paper is going to come from. So I'm trying to find one of those bright blue patterns that I can use. And so what I have done is I have printed 4 pictures on one 4x6, and I do that using the Project Life app. And so what I want to do with this sketch is I'm actually going to flip it sideways. So it's a vertical sketch in the original, but I'm going to make it into a horizontal. And I'm going to stretch it across a double page spread of a traveler's notebook. And so I'm using a little template here just to cut down some white cardstock. And when I create in my traveler's notebook, I always create like it's one spread and then cut it in the middle as a last step. So all I'm going to do is take some party dress ink from Catherine Pooler, and these are like my absolute favorite ink pads in the entire world. And I'm going to use those to ink around the edges, and I'm going to keep that going throughout the layout. And so then I'm going to put my 2 papers next to each other, and I'm going to create it as if it's one layout. And so what I am doing here is I'm just going to cut a strip of this horizontal line paper, and I'm going to use it on the vertical, and it's going to stretch across my 2 pages. So in the sketch itself, this was a diagonal stripe, and so I am just going to make it into a vertical stripe. And so as this kind of layout comes together, you'll kind of see how I tie things together. But at this point, all I know is that I really want this to be super bright, fun colors. So when we were in Chicago on family vacation, we went to this Dylan's candy store, and it is like the coolest place. Like my kids thought they were in heaven. Seriously, there's big, bright, colorful displays and every kind of candy you can imagine, and these lollipop chandeliers and life-size gummy bears, and they just thought it was the coolest thing. And so that's where some of these photos came from. And it's just going to go in our family traveler's notebook. And so I'm going to take a little strip of that bright blue and put it underneath, because in the sketch itself, there are a couple layers, and that's kind of where all of those tags and banners and things are going to get placed under and build off of. And so even though I have 4 of these little 2x3 photos printed, I'm only going to end up using 3, which is the exact same as in the sketch. I was going to try and use 4, but there's just not enough space going across my traveler's notebook spread to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to take all 3 pictures and put them on a really thin white cardstock border. And then I'm going to come back in and do a border with that green polka dot paper. And all that's going to do is kind of help my photos stand out a little bit. I knew I wanted them to be on green just to pull in another color, but I felt like they needed that little break of white cardstock in between before I went ahead and added the green. So now I'm going to go ahead and add just a thin layer again of green pattern paper. You really can't tell. You'll be able to see in the close-ups. You can see just a little bit of the polka dot, but really it just looks like green. The photos are really small, so you really can't see that much, which is totally fine. And so I'm just going to trim my edges of all of these pictures. And so I decided to use the one of the lollipop chandelier, and then there's one of these life-size huge gummy bears. And then there's one picture of Ty with his bag of candy that he is filling throughout the store. And so I'm just going to kind of stagger them the same way they have in the sketch. So making this sketch and adjusting it for the smaller size just kind of means that I'm losing that blank space off on the right-hand side, and I'm okay with that. And so now I'm going to work on kind of building my layers of tags and labels and embellishments and things down below my pictures. And so in my Tuesday morning haul, I had gotten 2 different packs. So I have this, my Mind's Eye World Traveler, and then I have this one, which is Cityscapes. And The beauty of really bright, super colorful pictures like this is these two collections are not completely the same colors. So some of the blues and greens are just a little bit different between the different collections. The beauty of using it with pictures like this, where there's a lot of color and a lot of, pattern and fun, different textures and things going on in the pictures, is that it allows me to bring all of those elements together, even though these collections don't necessarily completely match in their colors. It's all going to flow and look like it belongs together because my photos are the unifying thing. So don't be afraid. I know a lot of times, design people will say, oh, well, if you have really bright photos, go with a more muted background. Sometimes you can use those really bright, colorful photos to kind of tie your layout together and unify your look. So if you're trying to create with a stash kit or with a bunch of embellishments that don't necessarily come from the same collection, pairing them up sometimes with those really bright, fun pictures is a good way to do that. So it's just kind of a little tip that sort of goes against some of the design principles, but it ends up looking really cute. So I don't have a ton of tags and banners in either one of these two embellishment packs. I have this one vacation mode, and I know I want to use that. And then I have that one like baggage tag. And then I have this one that has a little bit of a chevron. But I decided that I can probably get that little frame in there as part of my embellishment clusters. And I really like how that like kind of wonky offset frame looks because it sort of mimics the wonky offset photos. And then I have all these little sketchy arrows, and I'm going to use those to kind of draw your eye around the layout. So they're going to be pointing at my keywords, and then they're going to be like drawing arrows around where the pictures go. And I think that's just kind of a whimsical, fun look. I am going to put those on some dimensional adhesives, so they are going to stand up off the layout a little bit. And then I'm going to cover up the bottom of that frame with that die cut that says Explore because I just really thought it was like it worked for me. So part of the reason that I feel like that particular die cut works is because the picture above it has that whole row of like life-size gummy bears, and each one is a different color. And so that's kind of mimicked in that Explore word where every letter is a different color. And so that's one of those little kind of subtle things that I like to play with on my layouts, where just the average person flipping through might not notice a detail like that, but it's a detail that I really enjoy and I will look for it and I know that it's there. And so those little kind of hidden things are sometimes fun. So I'm going to put that word Explore on a little bit of dimensional adhesive as well, and then I'm going to tuck this last little tag in underneath. And then I'm going to get to some more kind of little detail embellishing. So I have my big pieces kind of already there. And I don't have my photos glued down yet, but I do have all my die cuts glued down. So, sometimes you just create backwards, and that's okay. I am usually not a like glue as you go. I'm kind of a glue at the end. So that's where this comes in, like, oh, I should probably glue. And so I'm going to go ahead and just glue my pictures kind of in that exact same arrangement that I've been using. And I'm just kind of, while I'm doing this, thinking about what else do I have in my How to Kill a Kit with Style kit for this month that I want to pull into this layout. Because I did commit to using all of those ingredients that I picked up at Tuesday morning. I do grab these little puffy stickers, and these are for my stash. They weren't actually in the kit itself. They were something I had pulled out for another project and then didn't end up using, but they look super cute on this layout. So I grabbed 2 of the little red hearts, and then I'm going to grab 3 of the little cameras, and I'm just going to kind of tuck them in with my embellishing. And I end up tucking those little cameras into the arrows, and I think it is so stinking cute how it just adds a little detail to all those different arrows to just, I don't know, make them seem a little bit different. And I like things that are different. So then I'm going to go ahead and grab my One Fine Day stamp set, and it has this word phrase that says the best. And so I thought that would be really cute if I stamped it in the same pink color and tucked it underneath the word explore. So it says explore the best, which the kids definitely thought this was like the best candy store they had ever been in. But then I'm looking for something else to kind of pull the stamping across the page, and there's nothing on that particular stamp set that like suits what I'm looking for. So I go ahead and grab this one instead, and it has this little like star explosion stamp. And so I'm going to add that in 2 little spots on my layout. So one down by my title and then one in that top left corner. And I really like how that looks. It is super cute. At least I think it's super cute. So then I'm going to grab these Head in the Clouds enamel dots from Chamel and add some of these little glittery stars to my embellishment clusters. So I'm going to put some down here by this little The Best stamping that I did. And then I'm going to put some by the like the opposite corner. So I'm working on the diagonals. And then I'm also going to finish off my 2 other little embellishment clusters by adding a few more. So I'm just kind of changing up the colors and the sizes to make my clusters. I'm going to have a few less stars in the clusters with the star stamp, and then a few more stars in the ones that don't already have a star present. And so that's kind of how I'm going to balance everything out. I know the rule is kind of 3s, but hey, sometimes 4 embellishment clusters is what happens. And it works because really that bottom underneath my photo is just one big old embellishment cluster. And so that's going to do it for this particular sketch. I would love to see if you play with this one, either turn it into a double page layout, use it in Traveler's Notebook, flip it upside down, tag me if you use it so I can see what you make, and make sure you stop by and check out all the other ladies playing along today, and I'll see you soon. Bye, friends.